Hi guys and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me Seshadri and welcome to the first ever raw reactions for a Champions League game. Yes, we're here, Group D opener against Ajax Amsterdam at the Johan Cruyff Arena for Liverpool, and it's the first game without Virgil van Dijk, so potentially this is the first glimpse of what the Liverpool side could look like for the next 6 months. I don't know how it's going to go. Ajax should be a decent test, but I think we should on paper at least be able to get over them. But I say that because I say on paper and I qualify it. I put it in bold, underline, italics, capital, whatever you want. I put so much emphasis on paper because football is not played on paper, and the biggest proof of that is the fact that Shakhtar Donetsk, last I saw, were 3-0 up against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu, which is not a result that anyone would have predicted. So, like I said, football's a game that surprises you. Football's not always, it doesn't always stick to the plan. But hopefully tonight it does. Hopefully tonight we can come out with a win. Big game tonight. First game of the Champions League. Crucial game for us to win. Especially considering we also have Atalanta in our group, and if things kind of go south a little bit, then there is a chance that Atalanta and Ajax could capitalize. They're not sides that can be taken quite lightly. But I'm fresh from the gym and I'm raring to go, man. I'm raring to do the raw reactions for this game, and let's just get right to it. So this is pre-game. For those of you who don't know how raw reactions work, once again, if you guys have been following my podcast, you know the drill. But in case you don't, the idea is basically that I record my reactions pre-game, halftime, and at full time, and I compile them into one single episode. So this is the pre-game part of the show, and we've got the lineups out for both sides. We have got Ajax and Liverpool, and we've got a fair few surprises, let's say. So we'll start with the hosts. We'll start with Ajax. We've got Andre Onana in goal. No surprises there. Nicolas Tagliafico at left back. Again, no surprises. I predicted this. Couple of things here. Lisandro Martinez, Per Scholes, and Daley Blind are going to start. Now, one of them is going to be playing at the base of midfield. On OneFootball, it shows that person to be Daley Blind, which I guess is the way they've officially given the team sheets to UEFA. But I would assume that Blind and Scholes would be the centre-back partnership because they have been the centre-back partnership through the Eredivisie campaign. And Martinez is going to be the one who's going to be playing in defensive midfield. But it's a good thing because Lisandro Martinez can actually play as centre-back. So I predicted yesterday that Edson Alvarez might start because he did get a rest against Heerenveen in their last league game. So I predicted he might start, but Lisandro Martinez does get to start this game. Nussair Mazraoui at right back, no surprises there. The fullbacks love to attack, which means that having a centre-back who can play in defensive midfield will help because that person will drop down and become the third centre-back. So that could be Daley Blind as well. Now, Blind is not too bad at playing midfield either. So that could be Daley Blind as well. Not ruling that out. But I would assume it's Blind and Scholes at centre-back, and Lisandro Martinez is the one who slots in defensive midfield and, drops back to become the third centre-back. But in midfield, we've got Ryan Gravenberch and Davy Klaassen. Like I predicted yesterday, Davy Klaassen and Gravenberch, they started the last game against Heerenveen. No surprises there. They're starting the game against Liverpool as well. Of course, the game against Heerenveen ended in a 5-1 win to Ajax. For those of you who don't know, if you guys don't know more about Ajax, if you guys want to know more about Ajax, then do listen to my previous episode previewing the game between Ajax and Liverpool, which came out yesterday. But yeah, so it looks like a 4-3-3 with, I'm going by OneFootball, but it says Blind, Gravenberch, and Klaassen in midfield. On the right wing, we have David Neres. No surprises there. I predicted he would start. He's come back from an injury. He's looked okay. He's looked good. The surprise, though, is up front and on the left-hand side. Mohamed Kudus, the Ghanaian winger, starts. Now, I did kind of expect him to start, but I said it was a 50-50. I expected Tadic to start out on the left and Zakaria Labiad to start out up front, which is kind of what they've done. And considering Labiad had a rest against Heerenveen as well. I don't know if he has some injury issues or whatever, but the way it's been set up is Mohamed Kudus is going to play on the left and Dusan Tadic is going to play up front. So it's still kind of a false nine-ish system. No real striker in there, but Tadic does have a good, decent finishing ability on him. And he can take the occasional long shot and, place it really well. So Dusan Tadic, Mohamed Kudus, and David Neres make up the front three. Little bit of a surprise there because I thought Anthony Santos might be the one to start. Zakaria Labiad might start. So, a couple of things there. But like I said, I got most of this lineup right. Just a couple of changes here and there. So, I'm pretty good. On the bench, they have Lassina Traore, Kleiber, Kotarski, Julian Ekelenkamp. Martin Stecklenburg is their backup goalkeeper. Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, Zakaria Labiad, Quincy Promes, and Edson Alvarez as well. At some point, if they have a lead, I won't be surprised to see Edson Alvarez come on. If they don't have a lead, I won't be surprised to see Quincy Promes come on. So it's just I think they're starting out a little cautious. Maybe not overly cautious. They will go for it, but Gravenberch and Klaassen are not. But they're not as attacking as Quincy Promes is. Let's say let's put it that way. And maybe if they're trailing, Quincy Promes could be coming on. Zakaria Labiad might come on as well. So you never know. We'll see how that goes. It depends on the game, I think, a lot of it. They're going to start out not overly cautious, but at the same time, I don't think they'll commit too much up front. So we'll see how it goes. I think there'll be a feeling out process. It's the first game of the Champions League. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a feeling out process for the first, 5 or 6 minutes, maybe. See how Ajax play, see how Liverpool play, see how Liverpool adapt to an away environment as well. Now, obviously, they don't have fans, but nevertheless, it is still an away environment and you do need to adapt. So we'll see how that goes. Now, coming to Liverpool, we've got Adrian in goal, no surprises there. Joel Matip did not pass the fitness test, so obviously he cannot be playing tonight, which means Fabinho is going to be slotting in at centre-back. So that means we've got a backline of Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Joe Gomez, Fabinho, and Andy Robertson. So not ideal, but at the same time, it's a situation that we have prepared for. Fabinho has actually played well at centre-back, so he will be a good centre-back for us, I think. But I think it's just a matter of adapting. I think the only person who will really need to adapt is Fabinho. Gomez and Alexander-Arnold, they need to show up this season. Honestly, both of them have been horrendous on form, and if they continue that run, then Ajax could very well have a field day down their left-hand side, our right-hand side. So let's see. We've got a backline of Robertson, Fabinho, Gomez, and Alexander-Arnold. In midfield, though, is the biggest surprise. Curtis Jones comes in. Jordan Henderson is rested. Curtis Jones comes in. Naby Keita, there were rumors that he might start, but unfortunately he doesn't. He doesn't even make the squad because of some issues, I'm guessing. I don't quite know. But Curtis Jones does get his first start in a Champions League, so I'm very happy for him. Scouser boy starting for Liverpool in a Champions League game against Ajax. So I'm very, very happy for him. So we've got Curtis Jones, Gini Wijnaldum, and James Milner. Gini Wijnaldum, I would expect to play as the number 6. James Milner should probably take over the Jordan Henderson role, providing adequate cover for Trent and Gomez on the right-hand side as well. Curtis, though, I think would be the most attacking of the three. I honestly like the way he plays. He kind of reminds me of a very unpolished Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, very direct, has a good shot on him, can easily make an impact in the final third. So, it's like I said, he's an uncut diamond. So there's a little bit of polishing in his game, but that only comes with experience, and this is going to be a very, very big experience for this young man. But I'm very, very happy for him. Up front, we've got the boys, Sadio Mane on the left, Bobby Firmino down the middle, and Mo Salah on the right. Firmino's going to need to pick his game up. No mincing words about that. But like I said, in one of my previous episodes, I said, I don't know if Jurgen Klopp is going to, he doesn't tend to rotate his players a lot. So, or, he doesn't tend to take people out of lineups, especially someone who's as key as Firmino. Even though, in my opinion, I think Firmino needs a game or two out just to, sort of prove a point to him that his place is not a guarantee. And Minamino should be coming on there. I wouldn't be surprised if, I said yesterday there are 5 subs in the Champions League. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Diogo Jota comes on, if at some point Minamino comes on. Maybe even Henderson. Henderson is on the bench, of course. Shaqiri is on the bench. So anyway, let's just, I'm just going through, but let's just look at the bench. We've got Kelleher, Kane, who's another Youth Academy product. Divock Origi, Shaqiri, Henderson, Jota, Jaros, who's another Youth Academy product for those of you who don't know, Minamino, Nico Williams, and Rhys Williams as well. Rhys Williams, obviously, he's seen some first team action at centre-back. So the depths of our centre-back issue are really being explored here. I will not lie. But, I'm just hoping for a good game. It should be a fun one, both attacking sides. Hopefully we should see some good football, entertaining football. And, like I said, this is going to be the group to watch if you want to watch as a neutral. Ajax against Liverpool. Atalanta will be taking on Midtjylland. It should be good. Both games should be good. Atalanta should come out with 3 points pretty easily, but I'm not going to underestimate Midtjylland, especially considering I haven't done my research on them, so I don't quite know as much about them. But you know what? Let's just go for it. But yeah, that's gonna be the pre-game raw reaction. I will see you back at halftime. Right, it is halftime here at the Johan Cruyff Arena. It is halftime of the Champions League game between Ajax and Liverpool are leading 1-0, thanks to a Nicolas Tagliafico own goal. So it was a very comical goal, which is how the commentators Peter Drury, I think, described it as well. But let's we'll get to the goal in a little bit. So as far as the game itself is concerned, I thought we started out very tentative, very slow. We were a little slow off the blocks. There was a little bit of teething problems. There were a lot of teething problems given the fact that we're playing Fabinho at centre back, Gomez at left centre back. So there's a few teething problems. The makeshift defense, not used to playing with each other. So there's been some issues there. And there were also some quite below average performances, some average performances, and some really good ones to begin the game with. And for me personally, I thought Fabinho at centre back and Andy Robertson at left back were our two best players throughout the 45 minutes. I think if you just take the whole duration, I think you'd say those two were the best players. Now, the front three kind of grew into it. Mane started off slow, but he was, I think, the first of the three to sort of really get into it. A part of that has to do with the fact that, Robertson is, lively and he was having a good game. So Mane kind of got into it more quickly than the others. Firmino started to get into it a little bit later. And Salah was the last one. But by the time the half ended, I think the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so of the half, I thought the front three also looked really good. And I think my most disappointment for me as a Liverpool fan from this game so far, has been the midfield. But that being said, it's not a terrible performance. It's just very pedestrian. Wijnaldum's been invisible pretty much for a long time in the game, apart from the occasional moments. Curtis Jones had a few good moments at the start, one or two in the middle, but disappeared towards the end of the half. James Milner was industrious, but nothing really stands out to you as a remarkable moment, apart from the fact that he went sliding in on David Neres and got himself a yellow card. But for me personally, I thought I thought those three were sort of they were giving a very pedestrian performance in midfield, and I thought Ajax capitalized on that in the sense that they were very physical, and early on, when even the defense wasn't sort of up to scratch, they were able to push forward. They were able to create a lot of chances, and throughout the half, in fact, even towards the end of the half, they had one really good one. But there were a couple of moments to talk about. Adrian did some Adrian things. Let's just put it that way. So Adrian, of course, had the first of these moments was, of course, when there was a ball coming through, play through. I think for I want to say David Neres, but I might be wrong. Maybe for Tadic, or one of the front three for Ajax, basically. And Gomez was holding the man off. He was expecting Adrian to come in and catch the ball, sort of dive at his feet and get the ball, which is why he was holding the man and not touching the ball as it went behind. But Adrian, for some reason, decided he was better off, putting it out for a throw, which I get. If you're not confident as a keeper, don't go in, sort of clear it out. But at the same time, what I will say is, it didn't look like the most confident of decisions. It looked like a half and half. Like he wanted to catch it, and then midway through, while he was running, he decided to kick it out. So kind of looked like a half and half, and that's something you cannot do as a keeper. Like, even it's one of the first things that you're taught is, whatever you do, commit to it. Go for, if you do a half and half, it's going to be a problem. So for me, that was the first moment. The second moment, obviously the more obvious one, and we were lucky this did not bite us back, was when he tried to attempt a clearance and an Ajax player sort of jumped right in front of him, and thankfully the ball hit the Ajax player and went out. But it could very well have gone back inside goal, and there was nothing Adrian could have done about it. So for me, that was a very risky thing to do. I don't know why Adrian's doing it. I don't know if he wants to try and be Alisson, which is, I think, a mistake. I think what you should be doing is playing to your strengths. And if your strengths are not the same as Alisson's strengths, that's fine. But play to your strengths. I think as a keeper, you need to be aware of what you can and cannot do. And, that's something I've sort of noticed about Adrian. And I don't know if I've mentioned it in previous podcasts, but that's something I've noticed about Adrian is the fact that he's not quite aware of, of what he's good at. And that kind of tends to bite him in the back. So we get away with that. Unfortunate injury to Mohamed Kudus of Ajax. We hope he's okay. It looked like a knee issue. They were testing out his knee. So it looked like a knee issue. And, hopefully he's okay. But I think for me, him going off meant Quincy Promes was coming on, more of an attacking threat, more likely to score a goal. So for me, those are some of the key things. Ajax had some very good chances. There was one towards the end where I think it was David Neres again or Quincy Promes who found themselves through on goal and chipped the keeper, chipped Adrian. Fabinho with a brilliant bicycle kick just before the line to prevent Ajax from equalizing. It was as for the Liverpool goal, it was a very comical goal. I would say it was a very unfortunate accident. I feel for Nicolas Tagliafico because I've been in that position even as a defender in my school days where you don't quite intend it, but it just happens. It's just one of those things. Mane, in fact, was going for a shot at goal. Just absolutely, puts his foot into the ground first before he actually hits the ball. So it's essentially a mishit. Tagliafico gets caught out. He gets wrong-footed. And in the end, it's kind of a nice side foot finish into his own goal, unfortunately for him. So I feel for him. But the fact is we got the lead. Ajax did come back, though. They had a few good chances. The one against David Neres. Promes, that was a very... Promes had a one-on-one, which honestly he should have scored. Joe Gomez played him onside, so he may have been slightly offside. If he had scored, maybe we would have seen the lines come out, the dreaded VAR lines. But for me, that was, I think the Promes chance was really the chance. The other one where I think it was Tadic who got the chip. That could have also been a goal, but I would say the Promes chance was more sort of demoralizing because he was clean through on goal. He was right next to the goal. And look, fair play to Adrian. It was good keeping. Now, some people will say, Promes just hit it right at him. But what I will say is, as a keeper, you kind of need to get into a position where if a guy hits a shot, you kind of want to be as big as possible. And that's what Adrian did. So, fair play to him. That's good bit of keeping. A little bit of luck that Promes didn't mishit it or hit it to one of the sides. That's also there. But at the same time, you got to give credit where credit's due. Adrian's done the max possible there. Good save. But unfortunately, I don't think people will see it that way. They'll see it as a guy who got a shot hit straight at him. So that's unfortunate. But what I do want to sort of say is it's been an okay performance. I wouldn't say it's bad. I wouldn't say it's terrible. And we kind of grew into the game, which is kind of expected. It's our first away game in the Champions League. Not an easy opponent as well. So I wouldn't expect us to go all guns blazing. So I can understand the sort of tentative nature of what it took of the first half, really. And for me personally, I think it's a good half, but we need to build on it. Preferably get a second goal before like 60 minutes, 65 minutes, so we can actually make use of the 5 subs, get the boys some rest before they, we have to play Sheffield United on Saturday in the late kickoff. So what I will say is kind of, just get people, get some goals, people. So that would be my halftime team talk. 1-0 is not going to be enough against Ajax. We've seen that they can create. We've seen they can get through on goal, and there's no guarantee they're going to keep missing. So let's just hope we get a goal, give ourselves a little bit of breathing room, and then we can move on. In the other game from the group, Midtjylland against Atalanta. I think it's Midtjylland because I heard one of the BT commentators say it this way. So Midtjylland against Atalanta. Atalanta are leading 3-0 in Denmark. Duvan Zapata, Alejandro Dario Gomez, and Luis Fernando Muriel all scoring within a space of 16 minutes. So Atalanta really dominating that game. Midtjylland, as much as as good as they are, Atalanta's proving to be quite a tough test for them. and so they're comfortably sort of in the driving seat there. Hopefully, we can join them as well, get another goal, and eventually we can try and push ahead with a comfortable win. But that's kind of been my thoughts at halftime from the Ajax Liverpool game at the Johan Cruyff Arena. Hope you guys will stay tuned, and I will see you for full time. Right, we're here at full time, and it is 1-0 to Liverpool. So, close game like I predicted. Wasn't as many goals in it, but nevertheless, Liverpool come out with 3 tough points at a very tough place to play. Ajax Amsterdam, very very tough away game, and it's crucial because we need to get as many points as we can away from home. Anfield's obviously going to be a different scenario for Ajax to deal with, for us to deal with. So that's another thing. But the game in Bergamo against Atalanta will also be tough, equally tough, if not tougher, given what Atalanta did last year. But we're getting ahead of ourselves there. But good win. Wouldn't say the most efficient. I would say it's an efficient win. I wouldn't say it's the most attractive win. I don't think we played pretty football, but I think we played efficient football. Ajax did have chances. In fact, the very first chance of the second half came to Ajax, Davy Klaassen hitting the post. So they came that close to an equalizer there. Unfortunately, it was just not Ajax's night. It's just one of those nights where you're almost there, but you're just never quite there. So it's unfortunate for Ajax, but these things happen in football, unfortunately. And today Ajax were on the receiving end of it. But a lot of things to talk about from the second half. So first of all, let's talk, Liverpool's general performance. I was quite impressed with the way we managed the game. Towards the end of the first half at halftime, I said, I feel like we were growing into the game. The second half was only a reflection of it. We were really growing into the game. We're playing well. Again, out of the three, defense, midfield, and attack, I would say midfield was sort of the one that let me down a little bit. I expected a little bit more from them. Jordan Henderson did come on at halftime, so that added a little bit of steel, a little bit of industry to the midfield. But what I will say is also that we shouldn't be relying on Jordan Henderson too much for that sort of a thing. We can't, given the fact that how condensed this season is, we can't keep relying on Henderson to come in and save games for us. But that doesn't mean the midfield was bad. Just means they need to work a little bit more. In the sense, they need to be a little bit smarter about the way they go about things. And when Henderson's not on the field, and they need to know what to do, they need to know how to play when he's not on the field. So that's kind of my only, I would say, criticism of the midfield. I felt like we did okay. Milner played well. Wijnaldum played well. Curtis Jones was taken off for Henderson, so he had a decent first half. And then, of course, Henderson had a good second half as well. But I do feel like they can do better. Like, I've seen our midfield play better. So, and you could see kind of Gini's frustration come out towards the end of the game, where he took a shot and he was just frustrated, and he was just, for some reason, he was just very angry at someone or pissed off about something. Where he just took the shot, and just before he took the shot, he could see some sort of hand action, which I don't know whether he was urging someone to go forward, make a run. I don't know what that was all about, but he looked frustrated, Wijnaldum. I think he knew he was not having a great game. But that being said, it doesn't take away from the performance of the team as a whole. I still thought the midfield was average, but it wasn't terrible. Wasn't as good as how we played against Everton or Chelsea or Arsenal, for example, but wasn't the best ever day for our midfield. But coming now to the back line, and by back line, I'm also including Adrian in it. Adrian pulled off a few good saves. He had one in the second half where he had to go. He had to save quickly, and he had to go down quickly and save a shot. And he was okay. He was all right. Of course, towards the end, just before the full-time whistle, he literally had this one heart-stopping moment where comes out for a cross, doesn't quite. See, here's my thing. Like, so I am an amateur keeper, and for me, it's always if you're going into a crowd, there's not, unless you're supremely confident, there's not a lot of chance you're gonna get the ball with a clean catch. You're gonna be bumped into. There's gonna be something that throws you off balance, and unless you're supremely confident of getting that ball into your hands safely, I don't think you should attempt a catch. And I personally, when I play Sunday League football, I never do. I just go straight for the punch. And I think that's what Adrian should have done. He should just put his fist right through the ball, like he did a few times in the half. Wasn't wasn't like it was a new thing for him. He did actually have a few good moments, and he from corners, from free kicks, put his hand right through it, sent the ball out. That's what he should have done towards the end. Unfortunately, he went for a catch. I guess he sort of got caught halfway between a catch and a punch. Couldn't make up his mind once again, and it dropped. And thankfully, I don't know who it was from Ajax who took the shot. Maybe Pershurs. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think he just walloped it right above the goal. But thankfully, that did not result in an equalizer. Would have been the nail in the coffin for him, honestly. But I thought he did well. Overall, I thought Adrian had a decent game. Nothing spectacular, but at the same time, he made a few good saves, but there were a few obvious mistakes which he could have avoided. A few communication errors, things like that he could have sorted out. I'm not going to go over what happened to Gomez again in the first half and things like that. So you've already heard me say that at halftime. So I'm not going to go over that again. But what I will say is Adrian needs to work on what he's good at, and he needs to implement that in the game, because it's one thing. I know the manager's asking you to play a certain style, and you try to incorporate that as much as you can. But at the same time, as a keeper, your main job is to keep the goal protected. So as long as you don't concede, your manager's not going to penalize you as much. So it's one thing to try and emulate Alisson, but if you don't have the same skill sets as Alisson, it would be better off playing to your strengths. That's all I'm saying to Adrian. Not like he's listening to this, but anyway, we move. Joe Gomez, shaky start, but grew into the game, did okay. Playing in an unfamiliar left centre-back position. Did all right, wasn't too bad. Trent Alexander-Arnold, average performance, had a few good moments, but generally on the whole quite average. This season's just not going right for him so far. He's not, maybe because he set the standard so high, he's not hitting those heights. And we know he's capable of it. Maybe it's just a rough patch and he'll get through it. Maybe he just needs one game where he scores a goal or has a couple of assists or something. But he needs that game quickly. He needs to break out of this spell quickly. And he's had an average game. Defensively, he did look good, though. He looked better than he did over the last couple of games. Defensively, he was all right. Didn't go up against David Neres, which I think would have been more of a challenge for him. But he did go up against Tadic and against Kudus earlier on in the game. Against Quincy Promes as well at times. So he did okay. Like, he wasn't pathetic. And... the other centre back, Joe Gomez, Fabinho, absolute brilliant performance. Honestly, if it wasn't for Andy Robertson and the way he played, I would say Fabinho would be man of the match for me. I think he's close. I think he's up there. Probably put him in my top 3 players on the pitch today. But for me, even as a Liverpool fan, I got to admit Andy Robertson had a better game. And speaking of Andy, absolutely bossed the left-hand side. I mean, I said Trent hasn't started the season well. Andy Robertson could not have imagined the season starting better. He's raking up the assists, obviously, but defensively he's looked solid. Up and down the field, he's looked very, very good. I think a lot of it has to do with the arrival of Tsimikas. And, you can see how much he's getting pushed in training and during matches. If this is the case, then Tsimikas is going to find it really hard to get into the team. Now, he will, of course, play. He will, of course, get into the team. But what I will say is I think Tsimikas' arrival has really pushed Robertson onto another level. Now, coming to midfield, I've already spoken about them. Overall average performance. Now, the front 3, they played for 15 minutes. So you have Sadio, Mo and Bobby Firmino playing for 15 minutes. Mane looked easily the best out of the 3. No question about it. He's another good candidate for man of the match. For me personally, because he didn't play the entire game, that's kind of negated a little bit. Obviously, it's a flimsy excuse, I know, and his sort of mishit shot was the one that led to the goal that eventually proved to be the winner. But I would still give Robertson, because he played the full 90 minutes and played it really well, I would still give Robertson the man of the match. But Mane down the left hand side looked absolutely brilliant. Firmino, again, his game today was better than what he's done recently. But at the same time, it's not the dizzying heights of maybe 2 years ago. So he had a he had a really good chance as well. He had that header, which, to be fair to him, he was ahead of the ball, sort of jumped a little earlier, and I think he kind of tried to lean back and head the ball up. So I mean, it was not. I wouldn't say it was a clear cut sort of a chance handed on a silver platter. I wouldn't say that, but at the same time, I think what I will say is he needs to do better. Like, and look, I'll get to Minamino in a minute, but I feel like Firmino could have done better as an overall game. I feel like he could have done better. Salah, like I said, started the slowest out of the front three, but grew into the game, had some few good touches. But I think what is showing, and you can see this very clearly on either side, what is showing is the difference when your wingback has a good game, because Trent is not having a good start to the season, and Mo Salah, he's been scoring goals, and yes, but it's been more about individual brilliance than Trent helping him out. Trent sort of supporting him down the right hand side more than Trent sort of supporting him down the right hand side. It's been more about individual brilliance from Mo Salah that he's been scoring. Whereas on the left hand side, you see a lot of Liverpool games, especially in recent times. Maybe the last 2 or 3 games, our left hand side has been really, really impressive, and a lot of it is down to the fact that both Robertson and Mane are having good games. Whereas on the right hand side, you've got only Mo Salah who's having good games. On Trent is kind of letting that side down, and if Trent regains that form, it's going to be brilliant. But for now, there's some sort of issue going on. I don't know what it is, but Trent, I hope he gets out of it soon. Now coming to the substitutions, 60 minutes gone. The front three are all taken off at the same time. Martin Tyler decided that's the death certificate. He decided Klopp is signing the death certificate. Apparently, in his commentary, I was listening to Peter Drury, so I have no idea. Although, to be fair, Drury didn't have a great choice of words for that. He tried to compare it to a card game, and he said 9, 10, and Jack out for 3 jokers, which I mean, I get what he's trying to get at. Like, I understand what he's trying to say, but at the same time, it maybe not the best reference to make. But Diogo Jota comes on, Minamino comes on, Xherdan Shaqiri comes on, Jota on the left, Minamino up front, and Shaqiri on the right. And I got to say, all 3 of them looked impressive. And again, I want to say this. The difference was even more stark between the left and the right hand sides when you noticed how many of our moves involved Jota, Minamino, and Robertson, as opposed to Shaqiri, Minamino, and Trent. You'll notice throughout the second half, a lot of our moves came down the left. Jota was extremely lively. Minamino was making runs across the channels. He was doing really well. Would have set up Andy Robertson for a second goal, if not for just a few. It was a matter of few inches, really. And I honestly thought this was the best backup that we could have asked for. Personally, I think Minamino should be starting. I've said this time and time again. Firmino hasn't done great. Minamino has been in good form ever since the start of the season. In fact, even from pre-season, I've been saying this. Minamino has been in really good form. He's not had the sort of goal-scoring tally because he's not played in as many minutes as Firmino has. But honestly, give Minamino a couple of games to sort of gel. Maybe give him a run of like 3 or 4 games. See how he does. Genuinely, I feel like Minamino will make a bigger impact right now than Firmino. I'm not saying Firmino is a bad player. I'm not saying Minamino is a better player than him. I feel like Minamino has a long way to go in terms of maturity before he can really stake a claim for that, that starting spot. But I think right now, based off of form, I would say Minamino should be starting over Firmino. But that being said, Klopp is not going to rotate. Klopp is not going to change the starting 11. It's going to be Firmino, Firmino, Salah, and Mane. So he's not going to change the starting 11. Unfortunately, that's just the way things go. I mean, look, in the end, I thought it was a good performance. I don't know if anyway. So let's I'll come to the conclusion a little later. But I was speaking about Shaqiri, Jota, and Minamino. I feel like this is the first time where we've really had a backup 3. And look, I know opinions vary, and this is just my personal opinion. When he made that substitution at 60 minutes, there were people saying it was a big balls moment. This is, a direct quote from someone I know. It was a big balls moment where, he brings out the 3 backups to replace the quote unquote one of the best trios, arguably in European football. But what I would say is, one thing, it's necessary given how congested our fixture list is. We're playing a Champions League game pretty much every week, and we're playing a Premier League game pretty much every week. So you're playing a game every 3 days. I mean, it's kind of necessary to do that. And at the same time, what I will also say is the form that Diogo Jota has been in, the form that Minamino has been in. And look, Shaqiri hasn't played a lot, but today, whenever he had the ball, he tried to do something, and he did well. It wasn't bad. So even Shaqiri, like, when he brought those three on, like, I didn't kind of feel like he was giving up hope, or I didn't kind of feel like, oh, okay, we're going defensive. We're resting the boys. We're just hoping to hold on to 1-0. Like, I felt like we would score again. And the play from Jota, the play from Minamino, and, the general sort of vibrancy of the front three in the second half after they'd come on in the last 30 minutes, that is, I really liked it. And they really played well. Minamino came close with a stinging shot that Onana pushed out for a corner. Jota had a shot that was blocked out for another corner. But generally, they were very direct. They penetrated the defense. They had, of course, part of it was helped out by the fact that Ajax made some substitutions late on where, they took out defenders and they brought on attackers to try and equalize. So part of it was that as well. So we can't discount that. But at the same time, you still need talent. Before the substitutions, I felt like we were still quite potent. Just didn't have the luck. Onana was good. And at the same time, their defense also thwarted a few. Credit where credit is due, they did okay. But the point is, like, this front three looked like a good backup. Like, and the thing is, like, even when they came on, like I said, personally speaking, I never felt like that was some radical move. Like, it would have been radical if it suddenly brought on, I don't know, like youth academy players, for example, youth academy strikers. That would count to me as radical. But these guys have sort of Jota, Minamino especially, and Shaqiri whenever he's played, they've shown what they can do. So even when they came on, I was like, yeah, we could still score. The form that Jota is in, the form that Minamino is in, we could still score. There could be another one in this for us. Like, that was my thing. So I wouldn't say it was a big balls move. I wouldn't say anything. And to be honest, it's not surprising that the move happened at 60 minutes because, like I said yesterday, I kind of predicted it. That I said if we have a 2-goal lead, then I would expect them to come out around 60 or 70. I said 60 or 70 because Klopp tends to do subs at 70. So 60, I did say it could happen at 60 as well. So, but the point I'm trying to make is, it's not as radical as people think it is. Given all the information that you have, they're in form, congested fixture list, why not bring them on? So it's not really a surprise for me. And I felt confident, and these guys played well. They gave me enough to have confidence. So even if they brought about in the game against Sheffield for the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I'd be confident. That's just the way it is. Now, in conclusion, I think overall it was good for morale, this victory, because it's an away victory against an opponent who's quite tough. A lot of this team were part of the same team that went to the semi-finals of the Champions League 2 years ago. So, look, at the end of the day, any away win, you take it. No matter how pretty it was or no matter how dirty it was, you take an away win because away wins in Europe are actually quite hard and Ajax is no slouch of a team. So, you take it. I would take this win 3 points happily, definitely. The only thing I will say is Adrian, shaky. Joe Gomez needs to adjust a little bit. There's going to be some teething problems. We might see this for the next game or two as well. The backline and Adrian need to sort themselves out. But I think it was good for morale. Like I was saying, I think having a clean sheet may not have been the most beautiful goal. In fact, it was a very scruffy goal, very comical goal, like I said, at halftime. But we got the win, and that's all that matters. But that's been my reaction from full time at from the Champions League game between Ajax Amsterdam and Liverpool, the first match day of Group D. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. Hope you guys enjoy your day. My name is Seshadri. I will see you guys back again for previewing the Sheffield United game. And I will see you guys then after that for our reactions from the Sheffield United game over the weekend. But until then, goodbye. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next time.